Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Shariafa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Ogentoy, an infantry officer. In direct response to recent Ukrainian terrorist strikes on civilian targets inside Russian territory, the armed forces of the Russian Federation executed a massive, coordinated retaliatory campaign employing air, ground, and sea-based precision weapons, including Kinzhal hypersonic missiles and long-range UAV strikes. These operations targeted Ukraine's military-industrial complex, energy infrastructure, transport logistics, and UAV storage and launch facilities, as well as temporary deployment points for foreign mercenaries and nationalist battalions. Over the past week, Russian forces have maintained momentum across all fronts, achieving new territorial gains, especially in the Kharkiv, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, and Zaporizhzhia regions.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Ogentoy, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Ogentoy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel Ogentoy, let's start with the overarching picture. What's the main theme of this week's operations as of November 14?
This week marks a pivotal escalation in both tempo and scope. The Russian armed forces executed a nationwide retaliatory campaign, what we describe as a deep strike response against Ukrainian critical infrastructure. This included energy grids, military-industrial facilities, and command logistics centers that sustained the war effort. The employment of Kinzhal hypersonic aeroballistic missiles, coupled with multi-theater drone and cruise missile salvos, signals a doctrinal shift. Russia is now prosecuting the war not merely at the tactical or operational level, but at the strategic depth of Ukraine's war-making potential. These strikes are designed to paralyze energy production, delay military repairs, and deny Ukrainian forces the logistical lifelines they depend upon. Simultaneously, on the ground, each operational group from north to Dnipro continued advancing, encircling, and degrading Ukrainian brigades across the eastern and southern fronts.
Let's begin with the northern front. What developments have occurred in the Sumy and Kharkiv directions?
The North Group has continued its methodical progress. The most significant event was the liberation of Sinelnikov, which anchors the Kharkiv northern belt. Combat actions spanned both Sumy and Kharkiv regions, targeting heavy mechanized, airborne assault, and ranger brigades. The results were decisive. Ukraine lost nearly 1,000 personnel, several armored vehicles, and 14 artillery systems. More importantly, Russian forces neutralized multiple radar and electronic warfare stations. This is significant because it blinds Ukrainian artillery and ISR intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities, reducing their ability to detect or respond to new offensives. The war is entering a phase where the physical battlefield and the industrial battlefield have merged into one.
So the emphasis isn't purely territorial. It's about disabling capability?
Exactly. The Northern operations purpose is functional attrition, removing the enemy's capacity to fight effectively rather than just seizing ground. It's the application of nonlinear warfare principles, where control is measured in destroyed systems and paralyzed logistics rather than kilometers gained.
Kupiansk continues to feature prominently. What's the current situation there?
Kupiansk has effectively become a tactical kill zone. The West Group, particularly the 6th Army, is maintaining pressure on encircled Ukrainian units. Over the week, 3 major counterattacks by the 1st and 15th National Guard brigades attempted to reach the Oskil River to re-establish destroyed bridges and extract trapped forces, but all were repelled with heavy losses. We're seeing the steady collapse of what remains of Ukraine's defensive cohesion in that sector. With over 1,500 personnel neutralized and the destruction of Western-supplied Paladin artillery systems, the Russian approach here mirrors Soviet-era envelopment doctrine, cutting supply arteries first, then compressing resistance in concentric fire rings.
Is this operation meant to set conditions for a larger envelopment toward Kharkiv city itself?
Potentially. The continued siege of Kupiansk is both tactical and symbolic. It marks Russia's ability to conduct multi-echelon operations, creating simultaneous pressure in the north and west. It's not about a direct thrust toward Kharkiv yet, but about shaping the operational geometry to make that future option viable.
Moving south, how is the South Group performing around Donetsk?
The South Group is operating on the Kramatorsk, Seversk, Koshchentinivka axis, and it continues to secure superior lines of control. Russian units engaged and degraded multiple mechanized and motorized brigades, inflicting nearly 900 casualties. But what stands out here is the emphasis on electronic and logistical degradation. Over 20 ammunition and fuel depots were destroyed this week. That's the invisible front. When those fuel convoys don't reach forward positions, even elite brigades lose mobility and firepower. Russia's intent is to make Ukraine fight with empty magazines and dry fuel tanks before the next large-scale push.
The center appears to have seen the heaviest engagements. What's happening there?
Yes, this is where the intensity peaks. The Center Group achieved significant territorial progress, liberating Sukhoi Yar, Natavka, and completing the clearance of Ro. The Second Army continues street-to-street combat in Krasnoarmysk, while the 5th Motorized Rifle Brigade is advancing through Dnipro, liberating dozens of buildings block by block. What's key is the encirclement pattern emerging. Ukrainian counterattacks by the 32nd Mechanized and 425th Skala Regiment have failed repeatedly. Over 3,300 Ukrainian personnel have been lost in this sector alone. Operationally, Russia is closing the Donetsk pocket, a move that could decisively alter control of the Donbass theater.
Does this suggest the center is now the main axis of effort?
It's becoming the focal point of attritional convergence. When you see synchronized actions in Krasnoarmysk and Dnipro, urban sieges supported by long-range interdiction, you know the operation has shifted from probing to consolidated offensive phase.
The East Group reportedly liberated multiple towns this week. What does that signify?
Yes, the East Group completed the liberation of Orestopol and Dnipropetrovsk and Danilovka, Volchi, and Sladkoy in Zaporizhia. These are not isolated wins. They create contiguous control corridors linking Russian positions along the Zaporizhia front. This consolidation allows 4 artillery overwatch deeper into Dnipropetrovsk and threatens Ukraine's supply chain east of the Dnipro River. With over 1,600 Ukrainian losses and the destruction of 11 armored vehicles, Russia is expanding its operational depth while minimizing exposure, a hallmark of maneuver defense and adaptive offense doctrines.
And what's the situation along the Dnipro line?
The Dnipro Group has adopted a strategic containment role, neutralizing Ukrainian mechanized and coastal brigades in Novoandriivka, Mykolsk, and Malotokmachka. With 495 Ukrainian casualties and the destruction of 40 electronic warfare and reconnaissance systems, Russia is dismantling Ukraine's ability to monitor and react in the southern theater. This front is quiet on the surface but decisive in function. It ensures the southern operational flank remains secure while freeing other units to reinforce Donetsk and Zaporizhia.
Colonel, what does this all mean for the broader trajectory of the war?
We're witnessing the deep integration of strike domains, air, land, sea, and cyber-electronic, into a unified operational construct. The hypersonic strikes mark Russia's transition into a strategic suppression phase, where infrastructure and morale are as critical as frontline positions. On the tactical side, Russia's simultaneous progress across 6 sectors reflects command cohesion and adaptive logistics. The liberation of multiple settlements and destruction of Ukraine's EW and energy infrastructure will have compounding effects: slower deployments, power shortages, and command disruption. Strategically, this signals Russia's preparation for a winter campaign of consolidation, not rapid conquest, but calculated strangulation. The war's center of gravity is shifting from battlefield victories to systemic exhaustion of Ukraine's capacity to wage sustained operations.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. Russian operations this week mark a decisive transition into a deep strike phase characterized by simultaneous battlefield attrition and infrastructure paralysis. The liberation of key nodes in Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Dnipropetrovsk demonstrates operational maturity, achieving vertical integration between precision strikes, electronic suppression, and ground encirclement. The use of hypersonic missile systems underscores Moscow's intent to impose strategic deterrence through escalation control, while the scale of Ukrainian losses indicates mounting strain on Kyiv's manpower and logistics. With the cumulative collapse of supply routes and energy networks, Russia is effectively reshaping the operational geometry of the conflict, preparing the ground for a winter campaign of consolidation and exploitation.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.